Is the base case that Vladimir Putin will go into Ukraine?
I mean, I think it's increasingly becoming the base case in Western capitals that Russia will send those troops across the border and potentially try to take Kiev. Now, the interesting debate is, what if he stops short of a full-blown invasion? He just solidifies control over the east, if he just does more cyber attacks. But there is certainly an expectation that there is going to be increased Russian hostilities, and people believe that he really is looking to reconstitute his empire. So I think this is the most important story for oil market watchers to be paying very close attention to.
What happens if they do? If Vladimir Putin decides to go into Ukraine? By the way, he went in 2014. I was in Russia when he annexed part of Crimea. This would be much bigger than that. What happens if he does? What do we do? What happens to energy prices?
I mean, we've said we are not going to be sending troops to help Ukraine. It is not a NATO country. The question is, will we provide some other support to Ukrainian forces? But the expectation is Russia has overwhelming military power. If they want to take Kiev, it could be a horrible couple of weeks, but they could take Kiev. The question is, what type of economic price will they pay for it? Now, the Biden administration talks about crippling sanctions they will impose on Russia, very stringent financial sanctions. So look for Russia potentially being kicked out of the SWIFT payment system, targeting the ruble. But they have said also they're not going to sanction energy because they want to keep the flow of energy, particularly into Europe. But the question is, does Vladimir Putin respond precisely by hitting the West where it hurts, by cutting off the supplies of gas into Europe, by curtailing Russian oil exports, using its power in OPEC to try to get the producer group to withhold supply? So this is going to be a very big challenge to the Biden administration. They do not want $100 barrel oil, but a Russian invasion of Ukraine is clearly the path to $100 oil.
The president sort of alluded to that yesterday in saying this, and I thought he made a good point, Helima, which is he said that petrochemicals, gas, oil, were almost half of Russia's budget. In other words, they can use energy as a weapon of sorts for so long, but they need the money too badly to prolong any kind of energy standoff. Does that make sense?
I mean, the Russians have built up their sovereign wealth fund. And so the question is, does Russia have the financial bandwidth by withholding supplies of gas into Europe? Can they essentially see who blinks first? And certainly, Europe has already been having issues with rising utility prices, rising gas prices. If Russia were to cut off supplies into Europe, what would that do to the will of Europeans to see through sanctions on Russia? So I think we are headed for a game of chicken in energy markets, but I think the Russians believe that they can go to our point of pain, and maybe we will just have to accept the facts on the ground.